Third time lucky,
Here
maybe.
we go. Here we go. Let's see if we can get through more than
It's
2 minutes
weird.
this
It
time.
won't even. I just try to send you like a screenshot of what it was telling me, and it won't even let me send you a screenshot on the DMs either. I don't know what's.
Really? There's
Yeah.
just
I
so much
just
going.
looked on Twitter as well, and like everyone's saying that it's bugging out today.
Oh,
So it's
really?
like,
Okay. Well, maybe we say this is if it, after this, if we don't do it, we'll rearrange for another day when it's not so buggy.
yeah, I don't mind.
Otherwise,
Let's try it. Third time's a charm. We
here
hope.
we go. Here we go. So, yeah, we were talking about how you only told a few people that you were coming out during that period of when Daughter was written about.
Yeah. So I mean, I hadn't met anyone at that point. I was still kind of like very much scared of like I wasn't ready to be like dating or anything, and that when I did, it was completely by accident. So I just kind of I basically told my friends, because I was like, you know what, I can't go clubbing with my friends and get with some gross boys. I can't do it anymore. I can't like live the lie anymore. So I kind of yeah, I told like my really, really close circle of friends first, and after that it becomes kind of addictive. Like it's like it's such a thrill. I think like once you know that you're, I mean, there was some people that I was not looking forward to telling, but like when you know that your friends are really your friends and that they love you no matter what, like you kind of can't wait to share this new part of you that they didn't know about, like, and it's exciting. It was kind of exciting, I guess. But I mean, I was so lucky because I knew that most of my friends were gonna just be completely accepting and like happy for me, and glad that I'm close enough with them to tell them that. And yeah, they loved it. I mean, there's a lot of jokes. There still is a lot of jokes, and they love to like they love to rinse me about it sometimes, which is pretty bad. But they're funny. Yeah, they're jokes. But yeah, it was good. And then I think I was just scared about like everyone knowing. I was scared about people that I wasn't really friends with knowing, and like just the whole school. Like I remember getting really sad when it kind of started to like leak out and become like a rumor. It was so dramatic. I felt like I was in like a high school like drama. Like
Skins.
because yeah, totally, because like no one had ever really like, people like didn't come out in my school. Like I didn't know anyone who was out of the closet. And also like because I was in like, because my group, I think no one would ever thought that anyone in my, like, we did go out and like party and like hang out with boys and stuff, and I think everyone was just like, what, like Olivia's gay, like everyone was really. And then I think that's what I was scared of. I was like, oh, people are gonna think I don't know, people won't want me to be in this group anymore. I don't know, it was so daft. It was so teen drama, kind of like so extra. And yeah, and I think I was scared of like all the boys knowing, and like what they would say and how they would, like, I thought they would like take the piss out of me and stuff. But you know what, by that time I think once everyone found out, I owned it so much, and I was so proud of myself for doing it, and I was so like relieved and like just like the biggest exhale ever, that I just didn't care what anyone thought at that point. So yeah, I had some confidence with it by the end of it. And then I think that's what was so hard about the situation that I wrote Daughter about, because you know I was really happy and I really felt like I was on my way to something good, and it felt like everything was kind of falling into place in regards to that, and then it just all came like crashing down for a bit. But yeah.
With coming out, like people always see it as like a moment, and it is a moment, and the weight gets lifted, as you say. You just feel so much more free after it. But
Yeah.
it also really is the start of a process. There's just so much that as a LGBTQ person that you've got to shed from yourself, or the learned behavior, the shame, the sort
Yeah.
of the anxiety around it. And I've kind of spoken about it before, how I feel like it's almost like a second puberty in some way,
Yeah.
like for your emotional development and exploring relationships, everything that your peers got to do when they were slightly younger than you because they were free to do it, like heterosexual peers, you have to experience slightly later in life when
That's
you
so true.
after that process. So do you
Yeah.
find that to be the case?
Yeah, 100%. Because you know, there's things that I went through from like, I guess like 12 to like 16 with boys, and I guess that in all the similar stuff that my friends kind of went through, and I went through that, and then I guess it was just a complete reset when I was like 17, because I was like, right, I have to like, I'm kind of just gonna like write all of that off and like start again, and it kind of felt like I'm having my first kiss all over again. I'm having my first, like, you know, all of these things like all over again, and it was so scary. And like I was like trying to meet people over again, dating like all over again, which was, in this time I actually cared, so like it was so much worse. I think that's the thing, like I always look back, like even now I'm like, it would be so much easier, like, you know, like going up and like to a boy and like hitting on a boy, and that's because I don't give a shit, because I don't want a boy to like me back. And like yeah, so it is definitely a process for sure.
How were you with like the word gay or the word lesbian? Like, I remember when I was a teen, it just held so much weight. I was like quite scared of it.
I still feel like that. I mean, even now, you see, like I'm referring to myself as gay when I'm a lesbian, and I think like, and I don't know why, I just feel like the word lesbian, I don't know what it was. Maybe there was just something like, I don't know, maybe the connotations around that word and what I thought like a lesbian was, like growing up, and what you see on TV, like in the media, and like in just what people told you a lesbian was. Like I went to an all-girls school as well, so I think there was always this thing of like, oh, you go to an all-girls school, you're a lesbian, and it always like, you know, in the change rooms, it's like, who's the lesbian? Like, do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. And I think I was kind of, there was definitely a lot of shame that I carried with the word lesbian. And yeah, but I mean, yeah, even now I find myself just like, I spot myself saying like, oh, I'm gay, and but yeah, I love being a lesbian. I love the word lesbian.
That's the thing I love. Like, literally, once you get past all that and you come out the other end, you look back and you're just so proud of your identity and who you are. Like, I used to be so scared of the word gay, and now I'm like editorial director of Gay Times. Like, it just seems so ridiculous in hindsight that I was ever scared of that word or being
100%.
gay.
Same. I'm an award-winning lesbian now, man. I love it. Doesn't get much better than that. If 14-year-old me could see me now.
And so, obviously, you're very like vocal about being openly gay and singing about it in your music, and you have an LGBTQ following because of that. So, when young fans reach out to you and they're thinking about coming out, like, what advice do you usually give them?
I mean, I definitely tell them to, you know, make sure they're safe, and like you said earlier, it's a process. I think don't put too much pressure on yourself to do everything at once. I mean, I think that's what I liked about my coming out experience, was because I made sure I was, you know, just telling people that I was comfortable with, and I took it, you know, day by day. And I wasn't, you know, I didn't stand up in front of everyone and make a big announcement. I think you just do everything at your pace. Don't let anyone put any pressure on you. I think also that's another thing that people struggle with. I think when people get into relationships with someone who's not ready to come out yet, and someone who is, you know, this is your journey, and like no one, even if you're going through this with a partner, it's not their journey. Like you need to go at your own pace, and you need to make sure you're safe and comfortable and ready to say the things that you want to say.
Yeah. And when it came to family, were you scared about telling your family, or was there a particular part of the family that you were scared about? Like, I remember thinking, oh, how are my grandparents going to take this?
Yeah.
They're of an older generation.
Yeah. I mean, all my grandparents had passed away like by the time I was coming out, so I didn't worry about that, obviously. But I think if they had been alive, I would have definitely have worried about that. But I was really scared to tell my parents, and I knew that I didn't really have a reason to be. Like my dad like is the most liberal, like loves everyone kind of guy. Like, I knew he was going to be so chill about it, and I knew they'd like you know, like I think my mum had asked me like since I was like 10 if she thought I was, just so weird actually. I remember being in Pizza Hut when I was like 11 or 12, and my mum being like, are you lesbian, Liv? And I was like, no, and I didn't even know if I was like, I didn't even think about that at the time. But yeah. And I guess I was scared about telling my sister. I think my sister kind of like and my sister's amazing, like the best person ever, and she like doesn't think anything of it now, and she always talks to me about my sexuality and like loves it and whatnot. But I remember when I first told her, she'll kill me for saying this because she wouldn't want to think like a bad person, but like she cried, and she was like, well, I hadn't told her yet. My dad kind of knew that I was, and I remember my dad and my uncle were on FaceTime, and they were just kind of, my dad's such a jokester, so they were just kind of like taking the mickey out of me about me potentially being gay. And my sister started crying, my older sister, and she was like, no, she's not, she loves Harry Styles. And I was like, yeah, totally. And then and then a few weeks later I told her, and I think she was kind of a bit, I don't know, I think she was just worried for me, do you know what I mean? I think she was worried that it would change something in me, when it didn't, because it always been me, do you know? And actually it like brought us closer together. It brought me closer to everyone in my family, because I revealed like such a huge part of myself that I'd been closing off from everyone. So I think everyone like loved it in that respect.
I feel like my experience is so similar to yours. If anything, it brought me closer to my family.
100%.
I always felt like my fear of parents rejecting me was stemmed in the fact that the coming out story that you always saw on TV or in films when we were younger always resulted in the child getting rejected.
It was
and
tragic,
so that,
isn't it?
yeah, and so that whole kind of like storyline is perpetuated, and it just literally
100%.
compounds in your mind, and you think that's going to happen to me, when the reality is different. And that's why positive representation now is just so important.
Yeah, I remember I took me and my mum, I was writing in New York, my mum came to visit me in New York, and we went to see Love, Simon when that was out at the cinema. And like that was like the third time of me seeing it, because it just, like you said, like there's no storylines of like of gay people like having a happy ending, or like not being a tragedy in that. And yeah, I took my mum to see that, and we loved it so much, and I was so happy that movie was made and stuff like that. And I wish there'd been more stuff like that when I was younger. So yeah, there's definitely like, I think that's where a lot of the shame stem from when I was growing up. And I didn't really think that much about it. I remember like I went to like a few therapy sessions over the summer, and they were like talking to me about asking me like if I'd ever thought about my sexuality as something that we need to like go over. And I was like, no, I own my sexuality, I'm totally comfortable in it, blah blah blah. And the more we dug into it, there was actually like so much stuff from like when I was a really young teen that I kind of hadn't like dug into, that was completely correlated to me being gay, and like me being scared of what girls at school would have thought of me. Like even things of me being like in the change rooms, and like me not wanting anyone, like I wasn't, but people, I was like, I hope no one thinks I'm like looking at them, like stuff like that. And yeah, and I can kind of feel that even now, like when I'm in like social groups and like ways I interact with women, because like I have this kind of like, I don't know, kind of get intimidated in the same way that I did when I was like a little girl, because you know, so it's just weird stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the greatest things about when you come out and you kind of find yourself and you start to understand who you really are, is then finding other people like you and that sense of community. I don't think when I was sort of still not fully out that I ever understood the power of that. I only found that out years later. I mean, have you started to discover that?
Oh, 100%. Like, especially like moving. I mean, I don't live there right now. I'm like living in Newcastle right now, but I lived in London for like nearly 4 years, and I think moving there, and also because I'm in like a creative industry, and like and being in such like a metropolitan place, and meeting loads of creatives and like-minded people, and people who like share the same like sexual orientation as me, it was like, yeah, it was life-changing. It's like you meet your people, and nothing like bad against my friends. I love all of my friends, but I'm the only like they're all straight. I'm the only one who's not straight in my whole friendship group, and like I love them so much. They're my best friends in the whole world. But it is like there's certain things that you can't talk about. Well, not can't talk about. There's just certain things that I'm like, they don't want to talk about this. I'm not gonna. And you know, when you're with your mates that are like-minded people, you kind of feel free and like at home, and that you can talk about all this stuff that you want to. I can talk about girls to them all I want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But there's like a language to it, isn't there? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. There's just like a language to it that like queer people just understand when they're talking to each other.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember when one of the first times I went to LA, and I met like a group of people that I hang out with in LA, and we went to like all the gay bars there, and I kind of never, I'd like never really experienced that, the nightlife and stuff, and like I was like, this is so much fun. I felt like I was literally in the in the Elwood. It was like such a dream come true.
I mean, yeah, the gays know how to party.
For sure. Yeah, I love me some heaven. I love me some heaven. So good.
When did you go to your first Pride?
It was actually just this, not the, what was that year? 2019. 2000. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was actually
29.
2019. Yeah.
How did you find that?
Yeah, it was fun. It was really good. Yeah, I loved it. I kind of didn't like. I wasn't. I didn't. I don't think I immersed myself in it as much as I should have. I went with like 2 people, so I think next time I want to go with like a big group of people. But saying that, that was in London. But I've completely forgot that I played Madrid Pride, and that was amazing. That
Oh,
was
right.
incredible. I absolutely loved that. I played Daughter, and basically, and that was like my song on the set where I was like, you know, explicitly talking about like gay stuff, and in my guitar like wouldn't work. So I was like, shit, this is meant to be like the moment.
Why have you got a homophobic guitar?
I know, yeah, totally. My guitar, yeah, 100% got a homophobic guitar. No, have you seen my guitar? It's literally like pink Paisley Jazz Master. It's like the canvas guitar I've ever seen in my life. So it's definitely not. But yeah, my guitar just like wouldn't work, and I was like, fuck, I've got to do something really quick. And like we tried to, like they were trying to like fix it, but like 30 seconds went by, and that's actually like a long time in like on stage to be like silent, not doing anything. So I was like, right, fuck this, I got to do something. And I just told them, I was like, right, my guitar's decided not to work, so I'm just gonna do this a cappella. And I just told the full story of the song. And I think when I told the story, people, you know, everyone just like came together and had my back. Like that could have been a really awkward moment. I was singing, they'd never heard this song before, probably. Most people, it was 40,000 people. This was like the
wow.
biggest crowd I'd ever played in Madrid. And to people that don't, like, a lot of people don't probably like might not understand the lyrics if they don't speak English as well. And I was like, this could go so badly, but I'm just gonna have to do it a cappella. And everyone got their lighters up in the airs, and the lighters, their phones. So I forget that they don't live in like the 1970s, but they put their phone lights in the in the air. And yeah, and everyone like gave me the biggest cheer. Everyone like supported me along the whole thing, and it was like the most heartwarming, like come together, like perfect Pride moment. So yeah, I guess that was my first Pride.
I mean, that's a great Pride moment.
Yeah, it was. The London one, like, I don't think, yeah, I think I need to give it another shot. I want to go to Brighton Pride.
Yeah,
So
Brighton's fun. Brighton's fun. If you ever get to do New York City Pride, do that. That's
oh
really
my God,
good fun as
I'd
well.
love to. I'd absolutely love to.
Yeah. And you know, we've talked about visibility and role models. I mean, when you think back to when you're younger, can you remember the first time when you saw someone that you identified, a queer person, in the media or in music or in film, whether who you thought, oh, that I understand them?
Yeah. Honestly, with music, like, I think that came really later on. Like, I honestly don't remember when I was younger. Maybe I just wasn't looking for it as much, but I didn't feel represented in music when I was younger. I think if I had been a teenager now, I definitely would have, because there's so many amazing artists who are so open about their sexuality. But I think it was definitely through like TV shows, and I think that's why I'm like so obsessed with like the kind of whole coming of age thing now. Anyway, like I write all my music about that. I'm at the minute in the quarantine, I've been trying to like learn how to do like screenwriting and stuff. So I want to try and maybe get in that. I started my podcast like about coming of age and like growing pains. So I think definitely I watched like every like teen drama series like under the sun. So like Skins was really like that. Yeah, that was so like influential on me and so important to me. I just felt, even not even in terms of sexuality, they just like represented so many people on that show, and I just loved that show, and it was a game changer. Definitely. I wasn't really old. I was definitely not old enough to watch that, but I remember my sister used to watch it, and I'd be like sitting on the sofa like, what's this, and like go and like and rewatch it all in my own time. Yeah, I loved that show so much. And then I guess stuff like, what else was on? Glee as well.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Glee, that was a huge one. Yeah, I think those two are probably the most important ones to me. Yeah.
What about more recent ones? Do you watch Sex Education on Netflix?
Yes, love Sex Education. I've actually like I literally right now I've got Sex Education pilot script like open right here because I'm just like trying to learn and like make notes on all these scripts at the minute. So I've got like Sex Education, Dairy Girls, Freaks and Geeks. Freaks and Geeks is another one. I mean
Okay.
that had not for representation but just for like kind of outcast kind of thing.
Some good inspiration there.
All of those things, yeah.
Yeah. There's some good inspiration there. I like the path that your series is taking.
I mean, no, I'm just like I've got so many. I've got like there's literally about 10 different. Those are just the two.
Yeah.
Teeny ones on it.
So I've seen in some of the comments already, a lot of people are asking, when's new music coming? Have you been writing new music? Have you taken this time to kind of also write some new songs?
Yeah, totally. I've been writing. I've got like I've got a little pretty basic setup right now. I think I'm gonna do a little upgrade of that, seeing as I don't know how long I'll be in this situation. But yeah, I've definitely been writing music, but I've got a lot of new music coming. So I've been like preparing that and kind of how we're gonna do things remotely. In terms of like content and like music videos, like visuals and stuff like that. Which has been interesting. But it's cool, like it's going to be so interesting to see what artists do over the next couple of weeks because I bet like everyone's just kind of got their thinking caps on right now and is trying to innovate. So it's going to be an exciting time. I bet there's going to be like a lot of interest in like animation stuff and stuff like that. So kind of trying to explore all that.
Yeah. I mean, you were one of the first artists that I followed that really kind of, you did the URL tour and really kind of tried to think outside of the box on how you can still give your fans an experience during this time of self-isolation. I mean, how important was it to you to do something like that for your fans?
Yeah, it was like, for me, that was like a no-brainer. Like, I didn't realize it would like, have the legs that it did. Like, I remember waking up the next day and like all these like media outlets wanted to speak to me about it. And I was like, whoa, like I was just, putting on live streams for my fans, but it was like amazing. And then everyone else, like all these artists started to do it, and yeah, it was incredible. I mean, it was just about seeing people's reactions and kind of, people were gutted that they weren't going to go to all these shows, and not just my show, but like I know how it's like the summer is such a time like go to festivals and like all these events and stuff, and everyone's kind of gearing up to this time of the year, and it's just so sad that it's such a hard time right now, and I just wanted to kind of bring some light into a difficult situation, and like do something nice for the fans, and still be able to. I guess the idea behind it was that I would have been playing in different cities every night, and reaching different fans. So by going across different social media platforms, hopefully you would reach different fans in those platforms. So yeah, that was the thinking behind it.
I thought it was really clever and really well done.
Thank you. Can't take all the credit for it though. My like amazing team were like so like everyone really came together, and that was another thing. Like on the tour, I think so a tour goes on for like a month. Well, mine was the one I was meant to be going on, so that's like so many people's work that is off for a whole month. So to be able to like organize something and everyone still have jobs for a bit was amazing.
Yeah. And what did you learn from that experience? Because like I feel like a lot of different industries are going to come out very different after this pandemic, because people have had to do things differently. I mean, what did you learn from that experience that you want to take forward into your career post COVID?
Yeah, definitely. Just like about engagement, how important it is to keep engaging with people. And also I think what I've learned from these live streams is like the importance of intimacy as well. Like I think obviously I'm obviously going to continue when I can to go out and play shows, but I think I'd like to keep doing stuff like this because it just feels more intimate, and like the way you engage with people on a live stream and actually see their questions coming in and what they want to say come in, and you can actually have like a conversation with people that maybe you wouldn't get to talk to if they're like somewhere in a crowd at a show. So I definitely think it's changed my perspective on like how we should be engaging with people all the time, and just how much kinder people are being to each other right now as well. I think we're showing a lot more compassion to one another, and I think, you know, definitely gonna take that forward.
I think it's definitely a period of really understanding what you take for granted on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, 100%. I mean, as soon as this is all over, like, my first live show that I do, and the first live show that I watch of some of the artists, I just like, it's gonna be the best night of my life.
Yeah, cool. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for speaking to me this evening.
Thank you. Thanks
It's
for
been
having
fun.
me. Sorry about all the technical difficulties.
No, we'll blame it on Instagram. It's their bugs. It's their bugs. And what have you got coming up later in the year? Hopefully you got the rescheduled dates.
Yeah, rescheduled dates, and then I'm dropping a lot of new music. Got a new single coming like this month. So
Oh,
I
can't
couldn't,
wait.
but I haven't told anyone that. But yeah.
God, just drop that right at the end there.
You know, these things change, but yeah, that's probably why I'm not meant to say. But there you go.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Stay
thanks,
safe.
Matt.
And
See you
see you
later.
soon.
Take care. Bye.
Bye bye.